Well, thanks everyone for tuning into the billing panel. As our friend Panos has said, nothing else really matters without billing. So if, according to that, this has got to be the most important seminar of the show, right? So I'm going to go ahead and get started by introducing myself. I'm Kristi Greer. I'm the Director of Sales at Segpay. We've been around for 15 years now. I've been here since the beginning. Segpay is a US and European IPSP payment facilitator. We also do direct merchant services as well as gateway services. And everyone on this panel has been in the industry forever. So we have a lot of experience, knowledge on this panel. And I would like to get started by just going around and have each one of you introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about your company, and we can get started with Sergey.
Thank you very much. My name is Sergey Kazlouski. I am a CEO and the founder of Certus Finance Company. We exist for 5 years, but me personally in payments for 20 years already. We based in Russia, in Belarus, in India. We have a representative office in the European Union and in other countries. We have some payment institution in our structure in United Kingdom, in Czech Republic, in Estonia, etc. And we offer a payment solution for tier 3 countries. We concentrate on that. We are mostly not working in European Union and not working in the United States, but all the other countries are our main focus. Also, we are specialized in payout solution for the models worldwide. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. And let's move on to Harmik.
Hello, my name is Harmik Gharapetian. I'm the VP of Sales and Marketing for Epoch Payment Processing. Epoch started in 1997, and I've joined the company since 1999. We provide credit card, debit card, and alternative form of payments, including PayPal, for around the globe.
Excellent. And Thierry?
Hi, everyone. This is Thierry Vendo with Vendo. I'm responsible for payments, risk, and compliance. I've been with the company for 12 or 13 years now. And Vendo is a company that, on top of being a biller, as we all are, our vision is to use data to help our merchants to make the best decisions and help them grow their business.
Excellent. And Raja.
Hi, I'm Raja. I'm the owner of ChargebackHelp. We help merchants prevent chargebacks as well as recover money lost due to chargebacks. And like Thierry, we also like to use data to help our merchants prevent chargebacks and manage their risk.
And how about Jonathan?
Hi, I'm Jonathan at MobiusPay. I'm the Executive Vice President. I've been here for the last 11 years. We are a merchant services provider and a gateway solution. We offer solutions in the US and EU. And yeah, I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having us.
Thank you, interNEXT, right? All right, so let's start off with some visa changes that are taking place. As we know, the new visa trial rules came into effect last April. Can you guys just explain a little bit about what has changed, what merchants need to disclose going forward, and so on? Anyone want to start, or should I call on should I call on you? Okay, Harmik.
Oh, I was hoping I wouldn't be the first one you picked on.
You could volunteer. It's easier.
So yeah, the trial stuff went into effect last year, and I had a lot of the adult merchants very worried about the trial products. But I think it's mostly set up for the pharma and Nutra stuff and the recurring stuff like that. So I don't think it's really affected the adult industry as much. So those are my thoughts.
Jonathan, how about you?
Yeah, I've had a few merchants that are kind of worried about how this might affect their processing and their business. And really, like Harmik said, it's more for Nutrapharma type things. And the trial verbiage actually that's required, I think it's 7 days notice, but a lot of the adult trials tend to be 3 to 5 days. So that I know there were some questions revolving around that at the beginning, and if you just put it in the confirmation email, then you're fine. But it's also worth noting, I personally have not seen any verbiage regarding penalties or fines for not being compliant. Just saying.
Okay, anybody else want to touch on that? Because in April coming up, 2021, they're also going to have some updates to their descriptor, provided it doesn't get pushed back again. So that's another thing to note, that after April, they'll have to have that trial on your descriptor. Another thing Visa is also implementing in April is a high-risk registration fee for European merchants. They're kind of following suit as MasterCard does globally. Visa will now start charging EU merchants, unfortunately. And then there are some reporting changes with Visa and MasterCard with the save files. So we have some new tools coming out. So how do you see these new tools being rolled out by Visa and MasterCard helping the industry? Raja, maybe you should start with this one.
By the new tools, you're talking about all the new Visa and MasterCard chargeback prevention tools. I mean, there's a lot. So Visa launched their 2 new tools this last summer now. I keep forgetting it's a new year. They launched their tools last summer. Visa essentially shit the bed on both those products, and they're hoping to relaunch them in April. For those of you, I think I've spoken to about this for the past couple of years. So for those of you who don't know, Visa now has a mechanism where merchants can send transaction information to their consumers bank in real time. That's called Order Insight. And the launch in July didn't go very well, with very few issuing banks participating. Visa tells us that they have every single issuing bank participating in April, but I know firsthand that a couple of the big issuing banks have chosen not to participate. So I think the answer is wait and see.
Anybody else want to touch on that? Thierry, you have any insight?
I mean, not much more than what Raja said. This has been a topic with Visa and MasterCard for the last probably 5 years. I mean, when they started to talk about VMPI and how this was going to solve the problems for chargebacks and so on. I mean, it is a very complex system. There's a lot of elements involved. There's a lot of issuers. Not everybody is abiding to what Visa wants to do. So I think we have to wait. I think we have to be patient, and I think we need to find the right partners that will allow us, to minimize our efforts, like Russia, and yeah, it's true, and minimize our efforts and try to get all this information that is extremely valuable, TC40 save files that now we'll have to pay for, but at least, I mean, yes, I mean,
the data is going to come the data is much more valuable, where you're going to get it directly from Visa and MasterCard, not through your acquirer. So the speed of the data should make up for the small amount of money you're going to have to pay for it.
No, I agree. The thing is, all this data should be free. So we'll wait. We'll wait and see what happens, and hopefully, it will be systems that will really work and will really help our merchants to get better chargeback ratios.
Excellent. We have some questions from the chat, and it was actually going to be next on my list too. The topic of PSD2 for Europe. Let's see. In the chat, they ask, someone tell me how 3D Secure 2.0 has impacted their business. So if you guys could touch a little bit about what's the status, how is it affecting your merchants? What are you seeing? Can you make any recommendations? Sergey?
So basically, we're working with CEMEA region mostly, and the bank acquires there. So basically, we are not in PSD2 program currently, and we need to implement it only if we will process some clients from European Union. But as long as this is not our target market, so we are not participating in this program. I mean, our acquiring banks in most countries that we are working with will not participate. So for us, it's no change for this time.
It probably affects you, Harmik, and Thierry a lot. Can one of you guys go ahead and let us know what you're doing with PSD2 at this time?
Yeah, I jumped in and then Thierry can go, sorry, after me. But for us, we're basically working with our acquirer. From what we heard from them is some of the acquirers might get a pass on this depending on their performance and overall chargeback levels. So at the moment, we're basically waiting for them to give us the thing. We're ready to move forward if they say that we have to move forward with it. But we were told that some mainstream acquirers might not have to do it.
And Thierry?
So we've been working on PSD2 for almost 2 years now. PSD2 has been enforced. So from January 1st, we're already seeing that some countries are enforcing it more than others. And basically our approach has been to be ready, not to enforce, not to put 3DS secure, and wait and check what is the acceptance ratio impact. So right now there are 3 countries that we're seeing are affected. So statistically speaking, are affected: Hungary, Sweden, and Norway. And for those countries, we're going to start implementing 3D Secure, probably per bin. We are still gathering data to define the best strategy, but we're seeing some impact. And we're also expecting more and more countries to come in, because some countries are starting to implement it. So Spain, to give you some more information, started with 300 euros, but now they will go down to 150 euros, and in the 15th of February or March, they will go down to the 30 euros, which is what the PSD2 is expecting. Our recommendation is, technically you have to be ready, and I can say it has been extremely painful. So issuers are not responding in the same way. Not all the issuers are ready. So when you ask for 3DS V2 authentication, some want you to downgrade to V1, and you have to manage that downgrade. So it has been extremely complex from the technical perspective. I'm happy to say that we're ready, but we're a little bit on hold, measuring to define the best strategy to make sure that our merchants are not going to lose money.
And how about you, Jonathan, with the direct merchant side? Do you hear your merchants asking you about that? Are they relying on their gateway?
No, we actually do hear a bit of some requests for 2.0. And as everyone is aware, or maybe some people in the audience are unaware, there's no benefit to 5967 MCCs for the protection. However, not everyone is 5967. But yes, we are pushing it for merchants, especially merchants that ship a tangible product. I think that helps them feel a little more comfortable before fulfilling those orders. But yeah, I mean, it's my opinion to employ it rather than just not.
Okay. And this has been a pretty big topic for this show so far. From what I heard, I wasn't up at like 3 a.m. this morning, but I did get on around 9. And it seems that, you know, Pornhub and MindGeek has been quite the conversation piece. Do you see any new rules coming down in light of Pornhub losing their processing?
Well, Pornhub didn't lose their processing. Pornhub
Premium.
Pornhub Premium lost their processing, sort of, only as it relates to the name that they happen to have Pornhub in the URL. I think Pornhub Premium will be rebranded to another URL shortly, and everything will carry on just fine.
Is that how everybody feels? Go, Harmik.
I just wanted to mention that the user-generated content being uploaded has always been there and part of Visa's rules, that they always assume that what is being put up there is being checked and verified, correct? So this is nothing new. It's just, you know, conservative groups going after porn and religious groups making a big splash in the news. And so it was basically more attended to, and now it's become an issue, which means it's always been there, but now it's more attention given to it. And so you always have to make sure your content is approved before it's gone up, you know? And I always tell clients, some clients will say, well, we let them upload and then we go back 30 hours later and we review them. And I was like, if somebody downloads that within that period, you're in trouble.
Very
Or maybe
good
the
point.
message is simply to separate monetizing user-generated content from other types of content.
Well, illegal content is illegal content, so.
Yeah, I would just add, Kristi, to the same thing. The card associations are now talking about that, even linking from free sites that have content that is not desired by them or approved. They do not want those links going to sign up to MasterCard and Visa. So you definitely have to put a separation and make sure it goes to your site, and then you start to sign up there, and there's not a one-click link and sign up from there. That's the other stuff they're talking about right now.
Harmik, that is exactly the fallout that from this, that you will not, the idea that merchants are not responsible from where their traffic comes from is going to be less. I think you are going to start seeing merchants being asked to understand where they're getting their traffic from.
Correct. Yeah, that's becoming the issue. They're basically saying that we don't want our brand attached to anything. If the traffic is coming from a source that we wouldn't approve for processing, then we don't want you to process those things through us. So it's got to be a clear separation. As you said, the free side has to be separated from the paid area. But then again, the card associations also do not have a clear understanding of how traffic works and how these tube sites work. So, you know, we just want to make sure we don't get to a place where they say, okay, the tube sites are out now. You cannot get traffic from the tube sites, because we know what to happen at that point.
I mean, I think rules are going to be rewritten in this sense. A lot of things are happening. Visa and MasterCard will adapt based on what's happening. And I think as billers, we also have the responsibility to support our merchants, trying to understand, you know, what Visa and MasterCard want, and to make sure that we protect our merchants. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, we're also responsible for compliance when they onboard with us. So again, I think it is our responsibility to support our merchants and give them some directions, and make sure that they are protected. And we are protected at the end of the day. I mean, it's a joint effort.
That's true. So like having your verification processes in order for any user uploaded content is highly recommended. It needs to be posted. It needs to be written down. Just protect yourself, know your affiliates, who's sending you traffic, where it's coming from. So just dig down to where you're getting all your traffic. Let's see. Is there any more chat questions? Not that I see. Okay, so With Wirecard following bankruptcy, that was a pretty big shock. How do you see that impacting your businesses? Are you having trouble with any other acquiring relationships, or what do you see? Anyone? I'll pick. Go, Thierry.
Okay, so it impacted us. We were working with Wirecard, and the Wirecard situation may happen again. I mean, if it happened with Wirecard, which was the jewel of the crown of the German fintech, I think we can consider that it could happen again. So our recommendation here is never put all your eggs in the same basket. Make sure that you work with several options, several providers. And I mean, in our case, we always try to have duplicity, because otherwise we would have been in a big trouble. I mean, losing processing. I mean, Wirecard is still alive until of this quarter, but it has been, I think it has been a huge disaster for many merchants in the industry that were using Wirecard. So again, you know, be protected. Make sure that you have duplicities, that you work with the right partners, that you are close to them and understand what may happen. And then shit can happen. Shit can happen, and you have to be prepared.
Anyone else? Jonathan?
No, I mean, like Thierry said, you know, don't put all your eggs in one basket. There's enough payment providers out there, and the pie is big enough for everyone to have a slice. But it's always good to have backups to your backups, not only for merchant accounts, but gateways as well. Because gateways, they all tout a 99.9% uptime, but you know, nobody cares until that 0.01% hits, and then you're dead in the water. So backups to your backups, and have a close relationship with your billers, a dialogue, and know who you're banking with.
I'll add something to this. From my point of view, the big deal with Wirecard wasn't so much the acquiring side, but Wirecard was the business bank for a lot of merchants in Europe. And we know that we've been asked repeatedly this year to help merchants find business banking in Europe, IBAN, settlement accounts, etc. I think that was a bigger mess that Wirecard created versus the acquiring. Most merchants have multiple acquiring solutions, and they just, you know, move the traffic somewhere else. But that settlement stuff, people are still struggling with.
Yeah, it's getting a lot tougher. Go ahead, Harmik.
Yeah, I was just going to add, do your homework when you're signing up with the biller. As you said, Wirecard was one of the ones, even though it was on the business side of the banking. At the end of the day, when the bank shuts down, acquiring goes along with it. So make sure you know who the acquirers are you're working with, because sometimes, as we know, in this high risk, we have a very few and limited number of acquirers. So some have a higher risk tolerance than others. So I would say do your homework and just make sure you have one or two, definitely a backup that are more on the safer side, because the high risk people come into board in a bank and they could take down the acquiring, which means everybody else get washed away with the dirty water.
What we see now for the market like Russia and nearby countries is a very strong press from central banks mostly, not from Visa, from MasterCard. All the story about Wirecard is not affected, CEMEA region, for instance. But last half of year, we see a very strong press from central banks for regulation, for verification of acquiring banks. And now lots of banks which are not compliant with the rules of central banks lost their licenses, and other get warned by central banks. So yeah, it affected, but not like a story of Wirecard, but central bank initiatives.
Okay. How about what analytics are you providing your merchants to help manage and grow their business? I'm going to start with Thierry.
Thank you very much. Yes, so I was saying during my presentation, Vendo is a company that really focuses on using the data from our merchants to help them make the right decisions. As billers, we have access to a huge amount of data whenever there is a transaction. And we can aggregate that data, we can use that data, we can look at trends, we can do intelligent A/B split tests. So there is a lot a merchant can get from a biller that can use that data and put it, available for the merchant. So we've been working very hard during the last year to release a new product, which is Vendo Data Tools. Now all our merchants have access to it, and it allows our merchants to have access to their data, which is something that many of them were struggling with, because the best tool that they had sometimes was NATS, and it's not really a good data analytics tool. Actually, it's far from that. But then we also added some dashboards where merchants can see aggregated data for all our merchants, aggregated so they can compare themselves to the industry and they can see how they're performing. So if my conversion ratio is good compared to what the industry standards are, and then make decisions based on that. So I'd like to invite everybody to go have a look and see all the information which is available out there.
And what type of tools do you offer, Raja?
I was talking to myself. We have
You're on mute.
we obviously have a lot of chargeback data, so we know which bins have more chargebacks come from. We also know which bins are protected by Ethica and Verify. So we are able to combine those data and tell merchants which bins they can be more aggressive in, which bins they should be conservative in. So in the case of 3D Secure, for example, a merchant may choose to have a bin that's protected by Ethica and Verify, not protected by 3D Secure. And a bin that isn't covered by Ethica and Verify, they may choose to have that bin covered by 3D Secure. So just like Thierry, and actually I think some of this is from some of the bottles of wine that I drank with Thierry over the past few years.
That would be nice if we could do that right now. But we're stuck virtually for now. And let's talk about 2021 and what is your focus? Do you have anything new coming up within your company, or what do you think about within the industry? Sergey.
For our company, the main things that we will concentrate is a high approval rate for the specific countries. We try to use many of acquiring banks, and we focus on which acquiring bank is good for use for specific countries. And we see that if we change some acquiring banks, we see a high approval rate, and we will focus on which processing currency are better for specific regions. So this is our main idea, and to provide new solutions for the T3 countries.
How about you, Harmik? What are you guys focusing on in 2021?
We continue to focus on obviously keeping our merchants safe and getting backup for acquiring, as we discussed, but most importantly, trying to add the newer regions, payment methods for South America, Brazil, Argentina. Those are some of the bigger countries that our merchants are asking to monetize. As you know, mostly, or if you don't, the credit card processing in those countries is closed into their own acquirers. So the throughput using your own acquirers is almost going to be zero. So we're looking for ways to monetize that traffic in South America, Africa, and some of those countries.
How about Jonathan?
Well, thank you. We are actually focusing on preventing chargebacks with our Order Insight integration through Verify and Visa, and creating as many deflections as possible for our merchants. It's a whole thing that we've built from the ground up, and that's what our primary focus has been.
Raja, I'm sure you're focused on a lot this year.
Yeah, we're doing all the Visa, MasterCard stuff, as well as mainly we're trying to figure out with the acquirers, if the acquirers are able to actually report the results of these new Visa products. We feel like Visa has done a great job on the issuing side, but they've sort of left out the acquiring side. So we're trying to identify which acquirers, and more importantly, which software on the acquiring side is actually able to report these results.
Okay, did I hit everyone on that one?
Missing.
Oh, sorry, Terry. I knew I forgot somebody. Sorry.
So on our side, we have our focus on all the new tools for Visa, MasterCard. So we use artificial intelligence also to help mitigate risk. And we're gonna release soon Vendo Data Plus, which will allow their merchants to import not only, or to check not only Vendo data, but also data from all other billers, because that is something they're missing. So they are looking at our data, but usually they work with Epoch, they work with other billers. So the idea of being able to put all the data together and being able to act on that data is something that we've been requested and we're working on. And then we will also be releasing a new tool that will allow A/B testing, intelligent A/B testing for merchants to play with different funnels and to make sure that they have the best options in terms of payment funnels, landing pages, things like that.
That sounds very good. Interesting. Okay, so we have a couple questions from our chat. It's one says, would you agree that we currently face the challenge of transparency, compliance, privacy in our online communities? Is this about to change with the new technology and social trends? Anybody want to grab that one? Okay, Jonathan. Oh, Thierry, way to volunteer.
Jonathan, please.
I was just picking. I was just picking.
Yeah, I don't think I can speak to that intelligently, so I will defer to Thierry.
Okay, I mean, I don't think that the situation is dramatically changing. I mean, there's been some regulatory changes, GDPR, but the basic laws have always been there. And I think it's common sense to make sure that you're doing the right things. I mean, it's a little bit in line with what we were talking about, non-compliant, compliant content. The rules have been there. Now, there's some things that are changing, but I mean, the idea is you have to make sure that the data that you're collecting is safe, that you're keeping it safe, that your end users' information is kept safe, and that, I mean, they're giving us their credit card information. So you want to make sure that that is, being kept in a place where there will be no problems, their names, their emails, all that information. They know how this information is used. The rules are clear. I think if we all abide by the rules in the States, in Europe, there should be no problem. The problem becomes when we start to try to do, weird things, or companies try to take data and use it somewhere else or sell the data. This is when problems start happening. But I think the rules are clear, and I mean, they're there. They've always been there, more or less.
Anyone else? All right, we'll move on to another question from the chat. They're asking to touch on crypto. Now that Square and PayPal are incorporating Bitcoin into their ecosystems, are there any billing companies in the case industry looking into it? I know we are not. Anyone else?
Can I?
Sure, go ahead, Harmik.
Yeah, I just wanted to say same thing as you guys. I believe you said you are not. We have been on the sidelines waiting on this, and I always say it's a difficult thing, although it's becoming more prevalent and people are using it more often. But with collecting a payment, with the way the Bitcoin or the other currencies are going up and down, it's just really hard to get something and give it to the merchant at the same price, you know, with the exchange rates and so on. So I think like we're gonna wait a little longer to see if it's also regulations from government, you know. It's they're opening up to it, but I don't think the government's clearly said that this is a form of currency that's accepted.
And I think you were going to say something, Sergey.
Yes, we see some interest to accept cryptocurrencies from some verticals, not in adult particularly, but for gambling industry and gaming industry. They are particularly interested, and there is some countries, let's say Japan and other, which actively gamers, I believe, pay using cryptocurrency already, but not in adult business. And in the other hand, we have a huge demand to receive payments in Bitcoin. But I think that it's during the pump that we see now, and it comes only from the merchants, not from EU or United States, mostly from offshore clients, offshore companies. They prefer to receive cryptocurrency payments settlement. That's it. Thank you.
I mean, just a brief comment on my side that I agree with Harmik. I think Bitcoins are seen more as an investment instrument right now rather than a payment instrument. I don't think nobody right now is thinking on getting Bitcoins to pay their pizzas. So it's something we had in the roadmap, and it's there, and it's not complex because you have some providers that can easily help you integrate into your platforms. The idea in our case will be not really to touch the Bitcoin, so we'll accept Bitcoins, but then we will transfer it to non-currency US dollars, and we will pay our merchants directly into that currency. But again, and that's my personal opinion, I think right now cryptos are perceived as an investment and not to pay I mean your purchases.
Yeah, that's kind of our approach as well. Anyone else on the Bitcoin situation or coins? Okay, there was another question in the chat. Hang on here. Okay. Has anyone seen any fallout from the big billing issue last year that led to arrests because of miscoding transactions? Has any acquirers approached you or anything like that?
Well, it was sort of fascinating, right? That a lot of that business ended up with Wirecard. So I think that in terms of the card schemes sort of looked at it like, well, Wirecard went away, so maybe that was the fallout. But no, the answer is I haven't seen any fallout in terms of acquirers not putting up business. Maybe more acquirers now are running G2 or Web Shield to look for transaction laundering. But
how about you, Jonathan? Has anything come with your relationships?
No, we have not experienced any fallout, fortunately. Knock on wood.
Yeah, it goes back to just doing the right thing. Go ahead, Harmik.
Yeah, I was just saying what you guys you were saying, Kristi. You gotta, from the beginning, if you're checking everything and you're making sure what is the product that they're selling, go on the website, try to purchase it, do the testing, and if it comes back something different on the credit card, then you know you've stopped it there before you bring on the merchant and have an issue down the line with the acquirers.
Okay.
In the Russian market, I can add there was some banks which lose their license from central bank because of miscoding transaction, and interesting thing that it's going not from Visa and from MasterCard, but from central bank. So as long as central bank know the fact that some banks use this, this was a decision of central bank to seize the licenses. That's what I can tell about this.
I think this question was designed to get us to engage in some gossip.
I agree. That's kind of how I took it too, but I don't think we need to go there.
It's a legit
that's-
question. But
It is, and we all know don't miscode transactions. I mean, that's number one.
that's-
If you want to stay in the business long term, you do it right from the beginning. I mean, we love to hate compliance, but they do keep us protected.
unless you find a partner like Wirecard who's willing to do it.
Well, for how long? It always catches up. All right, so what else here? We have, what do you see growing in your portfolios, like your merchant portfolios? What niches, what markets, what are you seeing the most growth in or upcoming? Jonathan?
I think our adult toys section has grown significantly in the last 12 months.
Locked out.
I mean, you know, it is what it is. And a lot of startups, a lot of entrepreneurs are starting to get out and start their own business. And I think 2020, I've stolen this from someone, and I'm sorry if you're in the audience. I don't remember who said this to me, but 2020 was the year of the hustle. A lot of people were not fortunate enough to keep their job, and they had to find a job. They had to make their way in the world. And I've seen that come through our doors a lot. And it warms my heart to help entrepreneurs. And I've seen a lot of that in the last 12 months.
Yeah, it is fun. It is fun to watch them start and grow. How about you, Raja?
What was the question again?
Well, it was about growing your portfolio, but you kind of are
I
in the
mean,
chargeback space. So maybe
I'll
not
tell you,
so
listen,
different.
I'll tell you what's going on in the ultra aggressive world of processing. The big news, I guess 2020 was the year of sweepstakes. So sweepstakes is win a free iPhone, right? Those types of offers did very well in 2020. I think a lot of the guys in Nutra, that's where they ended up. I think 2021 is going to be a Nutra resurgence. We are seeing some acquirers start to whisper to us that they would like some of that business back again. They think that maybe Visa and MasterCard have moved on to other targets.
Yeah, I saw a lot of fitness too. Fitness, sweepstakes, everything coming on board.
Same stuff, right?
Yeah, exactly. Go ahead, Harmik.
Yeah, for us, it's the interactive live cams and basically interactive stuff online. That area continues to grow. And I don't know, maybe, Kristi, you can ask the crowd about the Snapchat stuff. I don't know how that stuff is monitored for content that's being put up on Snapchat.
Is it being monitored?
How
It doesn't
we-
seem so. How you would monitor it, you can't say outside platform. How do you do that?
Exactly. So I just thought that might be an interesting thing because we've always struggled with like, how do you monitor that content? And there was a growth in that area of business, I think, until this user-generated content thing came, and it's kind of at the moment.
How about you, Thierry? What are you seeing growing in your portfolio?
Well, all our portfolio has grown dramatically, and I think based on the scenario with the pandemic situation, people staying, more at home and wanting to have online entertainment. And in terms of verticals, we're also evaluating new verticals like CBD. We're getting a lot of merchants that want to to start their business around that and are monitoring a little bit what are the regulations in the different countries. And I think CBD is going to be a big topic in 2021 too.
Yeah, I agree with CBD. We,
Yeah.
all the Nutri guys that we're seeing coming back are also doing a CBD offer. There are millions of them, and there will be continue to be millions more, I think.
Well, for us, I agree with Harmik. We are seeing a lot of growth in the CAM markets. In addition, like everybody's coming up with their fan sites. We're seeing a lot of applications right now for new fan sites coming out. So I think the competition is to go after a little bit of OnlyFans traffic, but we see that growing in our portfolio as well. All right, let's see. Sergey, do you have any particular markets that are growing in your space?
So basically, as we are brand new in adult verticals, so everything is growing because we have a very small portfolio. But what can I tell about the other verticals of ours? So betting is lost their turnover because of no sports because of COVID, and gambling is growing well. And Nutra, yes, I agree, they lost almost all their volume. As CBD, yes, we have also a huge demand for this, but I think yes, it will be in this year and next year will be the huge volume.
Very good. All right, so we are just about out of time. I wanted to go ahead and ask anyone that's listening, if you want to type into the chat any other questions. We have a couple more minutes here. I don't have access to the chat. So Kristi, are you there? Anything in the chat? If not, I don't know, closing comments. Does anybody want to finish out with that? Yep, Kristi confirmed that there's no questions. I guess we've answered everything. All right, well, if anybody else has anything to say from our panel, anything we didn't cover that you think is important going forward in 2021?
You did a great job moderating. Thank you.
Oh, well, thanks.
Yes, thank you.
You guys did a
Kristi.
great job
Yeah.
filling in the question sheet.
Well done.
That's students. That's students.
Anyway, I wanted to just thank everybody for tuning in. A big thank you to all of our fine panelists here. Shout out to interNEXT, AVN, all the sponsors for the show. Enjoy the virtual show. I just really, really hope soon that we'll be able to be together in a conference, having a glass of wine or a beer. But most important thing is everyone stays healthy and safe. So, and that's it. We're signing off.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right,
Thank
take
you.
care.
Bye.